My name is Bonita Johnson, and I am from Jersey City, New Jersey, aka Chilltown. I grew up in the inner city in a large apartment building that had 4 floors, and there were about 5 families on each floor. So I always had, people to play with and borrow a cup of sugar from, and it was pretty adventurous life living in the inner city. My family is kind of big. I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers. But growing up in the home, just in the house that lived with me was my older brother and my younger sister. She's 1 year younger than me, and we have the exact same birthday. So we kind of grew up living a twin life. And we all lived in an apartment building with my mom. She was a single mom, and I was able to see her strength in raising us. And we always went to family gatherings, going to her parents' house. And every time we got together, there was always music involved. We would come together, whether we were at a restaurant or at someone's house, we would be singing. And I saw that, within my biological family growing up. And it's just an awesome experience and kind of shaped, who I am today. Growing up, I had the pleasure of seeing a huge family, being a part of family gatherings and going, to my grandmother's house. I had so many aunts and uncles, and just seeing the level of love and support. It made me want to have a big family when I grew up. I was, as a kid, drawing pictures of myself as a grown up with 5 children. And I just, enjoyed seeing even how my mom, raised me and my brother and my sister. And it made me want to have a family of my own. I will never forget being pregnant with my first daughter. As a matter of fact, I went to the doctor because I wasn't feeling very well and I wanted to know what was wrong with me. Did I have an ear infection? Did I have the flu? And the doctor came back into the room and said, "You're pregnant." And it was just like, wait a minute, what? I felt like so excited and just like so shocked at the same moment. And she began to ramble on, what I could and could not eat. And I barely heard any of those things. I was just stuck at the words, "You're pregnant." And throughout the pregnancy, just being able to go into her room and start decorating, start preparing, start buying things, start giving announcements to people, and the joy that other people even felt for me. It just was unforgettable. It was a great experience, and just seeing her, for the first time and just seeing a little mini version of myself, there was just so much love and joy surrounding my first child. When I found out that I was pregnant for the third time, I had already had 2 children, a girl and then a boy, I was 40 years old. So, as a child, when I was, draw those pictures of myself, I didn't draw a picture of myself at 40. However, it was such a joy to know that I'm getting ready to bring another life into this world, because I've always wanted a big family. And just seeing, taking the test and seeing it be positive, I just was so overwhelmed with joy. And I just couldn't wait to get started preparing for this new life. I remember vividly, thinking, I want to announce this child. I mean, it's been a few years since I had my son, and I was so excited to tell my family. I waited till Christmas, and I remember putting the announcement in Christmas cards so that when my family opened the card, they would see the announcement that we were expecting again. And just being to, beginning to think about names and getting boy names, getting girl names, trying to come in agreement with my husband about a name. It was just so fun prepping, to receive this new child that was about to come into the world. And it was just it felt new because so much time had passed. Even with my doctor's appointments, I was like, some things have changed, but it was just all so exciting and fresh. And it was just a brand new excitement that I'm about to bring a third life into the world. I couldn't wait for it to happen. When I went to my doctor's appointment and I was in the room with the sonogram technician, I was laying on the table and she was fiddling around at the computer and kind of making strange faces. And I'm looking at the screen, I'm looking at her, and she gets silent. And that feels very strange to me at that time because I've had other appointments and other checkups where we were engaged in a conversation and just something felt off to me. And I remember asking her a question and she told me that she could not give me the answer, that the doctor would have to tell me. And that's the first time I've ever heard anything like that. So when I got into the doctor's office, the doctor was, had a different look on her face than what I was used to. And she talked about how pregnancies are supposed to be progressive and that mine wasn't progressing the way that she wanted it to be. And then she asked me, what I had going on that weekend. And I told her that I had a funeral, to go to. And once she heard that, she said, okay, well, let's come back. And, after you come back in town, then we'll have another appointment. So when I got back to her after the funeral, that's when she told me there was no heartbeat. And when she said it, I just broke down. I couldn't quite understand and comprehend even fully everything that she was saying. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, there's no heartbeat, but what's the next step? It had not dawned on me the full acceptance that I lost my child. And when I began to process, I was thinking, what did I do wrong? I began to feel guilt. Is there something I could have done? Is it how I was eating? Is it something that I did wrong to cause this? And she kept assuring me, there's nothing that you did wrong. There's nothing different that you could have done. But still, even though I heard her saying those words, I still couldn't fully accept that. So I beat myself up because I felt like maybe it's something that I could have done differently. And I remember after that having to make a decision. They told me that I could get a surgery or I can take medicine at home and pass the baby at home. It took me some time to even process that and come up with a decision because I'm still thinking, I can't believe this is happening to me. I have 2 children already. I've known other people, in my family, friends, and I saw how, their whole life was turned upside down after having a miscarriage. And it just didn't dawn on me that this is something that could happen to me. And so I took some time to process and think about it. And I decided I wanted to be home and I wanted to pass the baby at home. But then I had extreme reactions to making that choice. And after about a month of just things going on with my body, I ended up having to have the surgery anyway. And I look back and I still think about my child. I still think about the life that could have been and how, even people that I saw go through it, you don't really know the emotions and the thought process to get it's a grieving process. And people need to know that this is a real thing. But I also want people to be encouraged that there can be good things that come afterward. And just like the doctor said, it's not anything that you've done wrong, or it's not any choice that you've made. It's just, it is what it is. My life has been forever changed. Even months later, weeks later, years later, I still miss my baby. I never got a chance to see their face. I really never got a chance to know if it was a boy or a girl, but in my heart, I know it was a girl. And I kept sonogram pictures just as a way to know that she's not forgotten. And it changed my life because I had to deal with the pain that I was going through, that my husband was going through, and my other children. I mean, they were just as excited as I was to know that they were going to have a new sibling, and to have to sit them down and explain to them that the baby that you were expecting is in heaven. I had to deal with, their emotions and me trying to be strong for them. And then after talking to them, me breaking down in my room. It's changed my life because when people ask me, when I go to the doctor, they say, well, how many pregnancies have you had? I have to count the one that didn't make it. I was buried in so many different emotions. But I remembered my voice, my singing voice. I had to call back to remembrance my song in the nighttime, in the hard times, in the days where I would be doing something and get distracted by the memory and by the thought of what I went through. And I remember singing helped me even as a little child. I mean, I've always, been in a choir or an ensemble or a group. And I had to remember in those moments where it was toughest for me that I could sing a song. And I began to write music. I began to go back and revisit songs that I had written years ago to be able to get myself through the day. Because at some point, I had to return to work. At some point, I had to return back to other things that I was doing. I couldn't stay away and stay in that low place forever. And I couldn't do it on my own. I needed music to help lift me up. And I began to call to remembrance my song and sing. So I found myself, just going back to what seemed to be a new normal, functioning and, going to work and singing, in the morning, heading to work, singing on the way home. And a few months passed, and when I was eating, things were tasting different. And I'm like, why isn't food tasting the same? And it reminded me of when I was pregnant before. And so I'm thinking, am I pregnant again? So I went and got a pregnancy test. And lo and behold, I saw that I was pregnant again. I was 41 years old when this happened. And I didn't know how to feel. And some part of me felt happy and joyous, but there was another part of me that felt apprehensive and nervous and scared. I went to the doctor and they confirmed that I was pregnant, but I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't know how far this pregnancy was going to go. I didn't know if I was about to relive the same nightmare that I had just gone through just a year prior. So I had a mixed feeling of emotions, and I just didn't know what to do with it. I wanted to be grateful and I wanted to be happy, but I was so scared. And every doctor's appointment, when they got down to the part where they were checking for heartbeats, I clammed up every time. And when they heard the heartbeat, and when I was able to hear the heartbeat, and when the doctor said it's a strong heartbeat, I broke down and cried. Tears of joy, because I knew that this baby was going to be okay. So every doctor's appointment, I still needed that reassurance, especially when it got to the part to hear the heartbeat. And each time the heartbeat was strong, and I began to see my belly growing and just seeing how active my daughter was. She came a little bit early. I remember my water broke on Father's Day. And so we went to the hospital, and I had multiple surgeries, so much to the point that I was under anesthesia when she was born. So my husband actually got to meet her first. But I remember them coming to my room after recovery and rolling her in, and they placed her in my arms. And I looked down at her, and she opened her eyes and looked at me. And we shared this moment. And I broke down because I was so overjoyed just to know that she was okay, that she was healthy, that we both made it through this journey together. I'll never forget it. And I'm so grateful to have her. When I don't know what to do, I look to you. When I don't know what to say, I'll look your way. So incline your ear, I'll incline my ear. Speak, oh Lord, I am ready to hear. I need you now, I need you right here to wipe my tears. No doubt, no fear. I call to remembrance my song in the night. I commune with my own heart. Lord, make it right. Mend all the brokenness, hurt, and the pain. Let me be able to trust you again. I love you, baby girl.